70.3 St. George North American, 70.3 champs recap video. Here you go. Obviously, I was second place. I'm happy with that. I will say, obviously, I have some mixed emotions, and that's the big problem with coming off of being a two-time defending champion, or even if you're just a one-time defending champion, is kind of anything other than a win can feel like a setback, right? Like a second place is still successful, and I've reflected it's my best results in several months since winning Ironman Chattanooga last year in September. And so it was great to show that I am indeed actually quite fit and I'm quite strong. And I really do have to tip my hat off to Lionel. Obviously he was phenomenal on the day. It was great racing. It really shows how real this rivalry is. And obviously the friendship is great as well. And because in a way, I thought I had kind of gotten the upper hand. A couple of years ago, I beat him quite a few times in a row. And now I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like to be beat by a friend. It's an interesting mix of emotions because you're very happy for them, but you want more out of yourself. And especially with me and Lionel, like when you get beat, if it's really close, then it's one thing because, okay, you know we're about the same. But when it's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes in some of these instances, then you have to look in your mirror and go, okay, I gotta get better, or what happened, and so on and so forth. But incredible racing, and awesome to see that we both showed up and we smashed it. And I also have to give a huge props to third place Colin Zuck. He was a beast out there. We swam together and then we biked together. He was one of the few guys who was willing to actually try and do some work as well. And then he ran with courage, and so a huge breakout performance on him. Now I want to talk about how the race actually unfolded for me, because I will say I think it was one of the most interesting races I've ever done, just in terms of dynamics. Yeah, I feel like I felt like I was being really smart in the race, but I wasn't actually being really smart in the race. And in part, this is also, like, if you think about the Tour de France, they have a radio, right? And they have their team director able to constantly say things into the ear, like, oh, this is what's happening, you need to do this now. But us in triathlon, like, I was trying to make decisions based off what limited and actually wrong information I was getting on the course, which I think certainly affected how I played out the race. So I'm a little haunted with some of my decisions, but let's kind of get into that. So obviously the swim, 26 minutes. It's a little faster than I swam last year, 26:20. I'll be honest, I thought I was gonna swim I actually thought I could swim 24 minutes low based on training, but it's just kind of how it played out. Like, I had a decent start. I was then in the group, and then you see, they give us these caps. So I had a colored cap. Lionel did not get a colored. He had a red cap, so he blended in with everyone. I actually couldn't even find him at the start, but I had this yellow cap, and so I think people saw me. And at one point, at about 400 meters in, as the positions are kind of settled, you're slightly in groups, but I realized, okay, I need to try and move up, and I kind of tried to move up. And I think the people saw who I was, and they were like, absolutely no way. So I got in this like huge, basically wrestle match. And then even though I would have actually gone in front and then pulled the group and created a lack of separation, it would have been good for the guy who got in a wrestle match with me. But anyway, so then I kind of had to, and it's a lack of skill on my part because I haven't really done that. Like I have a lack of skill, and once I'm kind of in that group, trying to move up and get another group. So that's something I clearly have to work on. And then kind of settled in. It felt very easy. We got to the turn buoy, and then I noticed a separation, and I'm also realizing, okay, now our group's slowing around. So this time I did go around, and I was able to go around, and then I kind of led the whole second half of our group, trying to bridge up, but it was too late at that point, and I made yet another mistake with like 500, maybe 400 meters left to go. They touched my feet again, so I was like, maybe I'll switch the pole. So I then did some I did some backstroke. Why am I doing backstroke? Like, I'm behind to let them try and take the lead again, because I'm trying to think, ooh, I'm always swimming on my own. I should try and conserve energy. I should be smart in the group. But then, like, I think all the guys on my feet were pretty gassed, so they couldn't pick up the pace. So then it's like, I probably lost another 15 seconds right there in the swim, and I should have just stayed on the gas myself. I stay on the gas in the T100. I should have just stayed on the gas there. So I come out, and obviously kind of get some of the information that a lot of the key players are ahead. And never ever did I think, like, I tried to envision all of the race scenarios that could happen and what I would do in these scenarios. And like, obviously, okay, I figured Magnus Ditlev will be ahead. I figured, okay, like Lionel, let's prepare for him to be slightly ahead. Let's prepare for Cam Worth to be slightly ahead. But like all of the players were ahead, and that gap was big. So I knew like I had to go straight away. So I did. I got going on the bike straight away. I was bringing Colin Zuck up with me. And then at that first turnaround, like I could kind of see most of the people are there. Trevor Foley's there, Cam Worth's there, and Lionel was at that point only slightly ahead of them. I was like maybe, I don't know, 20 seconds behind Trevor and Cam at that point, and Lionel looked to be slightly ahead of them. And I was told that Lionel is 30 seconds ahead at that point, which I believe is false information, because I think he was more like, I looked at the tracker, he outsplit me through that first turnaround by 7 seconds. So he was actually already moving just slightly faster. But then I got this information, oh, he's only 30 seconds ahead. Well, he was a minute out of the swim. So I had this perception, this belief that I was making progress. And then I kind of caught up to, right after that, I caught up to Cam Worth and Trevor Foley. And I'm thinking like, sweet, here I am. I've got two of the strongest guys with me. I brought Colin Zuck up with me. I'm like, we're in good position. Lionel's just up the road. I'm like, surely Lionel came by them and they weren't just going to let him go. So this was my mistake. I kind of settled in for a bit, thinking like, let's be smart. Lionel was only 30 seconds up the road. I'm making time up on him. Wrong, wrong. And I did try, I kind of tried to go, and now Cam Worth, I'm going to talk about Cam Worth here because I think he's a sneaky little guy, and I think he was doing this on purpose. And I actually will credit him. I think it was quite smart to him, but I'm thinking, ooh, Cam Worth, he just set the Ironman bike course world record, world tour rider. The guy's really strong. Well, I think he was like literally, he was messing with me because, so I ran a 64 size chain ring because my strategy was push the uphills, but also push the downhills. And I think I was just about to break them on all the downhills, and Cam Worth, being a smart guy, being a sneaky guy, and being a smaller guy, I think he realized if I just pass Sam at the crest of each hill, then the group will stay together, because that's what would happen. He would just pass me, so I'd have to slow up to let him pass, and then the other guys would pass me, Trevor, Colin, so they would all pass. So then I literally was having to basically freewheel. It completely got rid of my whole strategy. I had to freewheel the downhills for like 30 seconds as I had to move back all the positions, only then to immediately repass them. And this, I was stupid because I didn't realize that Cam Worth was doing this to me for like 15 minutes. And so like, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, I'm riding with these guys. Like, we're making good progress. And at this point, we caught Magnus Ditlev as well, who I know had a flat. But I thought like, okay, Magnus has a flat because he has a flat, but now he's just basically waiting for me. He's waiting for me, and then we're going to make an attack. And if I go back to Dallas, PTO US Open, where he got first and I got second at the end, like I caught him and I was too impatient. Normally I'm too impatient. I said like, I'm going to go. And so I went straight away, and Magnus sat on my wheel for the whole second half of the bike and was able to conserve energy, and then went at the end. So at this time I'm like, Magnus knows what he's doing. He's still in it to win it. Like, let's wait for Magnus to make a attack, and we're all in a group, and surely we're not just going to let Lionel get up the road. And we also got another wrong split about halfway. We heard he was a minute up, so I'm like, cool, he's a minute up. I'm setting myself up for good success. We then completely messed around. I'd like to use the F-bomb there, but I won't. We completely messed around. It was just horrible. Everyone was looking at me. Like, other people would go and try and set the pace at the front, for example, but everyone would just let him go. So then I always had to go up, bridge the group up, and I don't know why I was in this mindset that, ooh, cool, I'm with these guys. They're going to be really strong. They're going to be really helpful. We're all going to work together to try and chase after this win. But it was not that. It was just... So anyways, this went on. As you can tell, I'm a little frustrated by it. Then finally we get on Red Hills Parkway, and I hear three people back to back, and they say Lionel is 3 minutes up ahead, and I'm like, oh God. That's literally, yeah, that's the expression. That's what I was like, oh God. So at that moment I was like, I had to go, and it was easy work getting rid of everyone. I just went straight away, and I'm like, why didn't I do that 45 minutes earlier, 20 miles ago? And at that point, I was like, let's try and I knew it was probably a tough call. I just let Lionel get up the road 3 minutes on me. I for sure tried to have some hope, like maybe he's biking too hard. And if I ride really well, I thought I could get some time on Snow Canyon, and I thought I could get some time on the descent back to town. but we more or less just evenly split each other. And I came into transition right about 3 minutes back. Still with belief. I always believe in myself. I always believe I've got a chance. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to risk it to get the biscuit here. I'm going to have to run exceptionally well. And that's part of the problem when you're also doing training workouts and track workouts. Like, I know me and Lionel are in relatively similar run shape, but, maybe mismanagement. I'm like, if there's mismanagement on Lionel's part, I've got a chance. So my hope was to do the second lap fast enough, the first lap fast enough to believe I had a chance. And I also know Lionel would have known I would be doing this. Like it was a battle, even though we were not side by side, it was a battle of wills at that point, right? And I was able to get a minute back on the first lap, so I got it down to 2 minutes, but I probably needed to get it down to 90 seconds, right? So it's 2 minutes. You run the math, you go, okay, we got, 6 miles left. That's 20 seconds a mile faster. I gotta go. And then it's hard to know these things because the last 2 years, like, I felt magical the whole day. Like, literally magical from the swim, the first pedal stroke, and the run. Like, it was as if I was floating on the run last year, and this year everything felt more labored, but I think it's because I wasn't in control of the race at all. And so I was finding strength from within my mind to keep pushing and doing the best I could and trying to give a fight for everyone on the sport. And of course, just trying to end St. George on such a huge high. But then, I got to about mile 8, still heard the splits. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is, unless if Lionel blows up, this isn't going to happen. And so I will say I let off the gas just a bit, final 5 miles. I knew the position I was going to be in. And I am racing 70.3 Chattanooga this weekend, which I've been wanting to do all along. I feel out of it. I feel I've been doing these T100s and it's stunted my dynamics. I feel my fire lit up from within now again because I went out there and I duked it and I was in the battle and I was in the mix and I was dealing with dynamics, making wrong decisions in the mix, in the dynamics. And like, that's not something I thought about when I made this decision, but it's like, okay, I gotta be making these decisions, and finished obviously with a mix of emotions, but it was a great race. It ends my 10th time in St. George, my 10th finish in St. George, and a huge body of work and great work. And I learned a lot. I wish obviously I would have given a slightly better battle, made some slightly better decisions, but that's racing. And I will say that wearing the nerd belt was a good decision. I actually wish I would have worn the one with the flask because it was quite hard to get the aid stations. And I got a little dehydrated on that nutrition front too. My body's kind of changed as I get older. The body can change. So last year I took 330 grams total on the bike. This year I took 300, but I still dealt with some GI distress where it could have been dehydration because they got rid of 2 aid stations per lap. So a total of 4 aid stations on the run. And so, if I could have carried a little more. I want to thank everyone. The crowd was awesome. It was so great to be out there. Thank you to all my sponsors, and we'll see you at the next one. Shoot some questions. I think people maybe like this type of thing, and I feel my training plan was perfect. I felt so good in the taper, and I also do think that's racing. Like I think I had 90% of my best day in terms of legs, but I think that's the miracle of racing. And you wake up some days, and some days you got 100%, and some days you got 90%. And 90% is still really good because some days you wake up and you got 75%, and that's a long, tough, hard day. So see you guys at the next one. Yo, yo, yo.